Hey guys, welcome again. This is Saving Africa Uncensored. Okay, you can find me on every other platform you can think about. But of course, my name is Ibrahim Fauna, and I am the presenter of the Ibrahim Fauna Talk Show. Saving Africa Uncensored. Today, I want to talk about a documentary that I saw on BBC News Africa. We've BBC News Africa, by the way. If you don't follow them on YouTube, you have to follow them. All right, and I'll show you their page here shortly. But you have to follow them because these are independent journalists. Like in Sierra Leone, we have a brother called Tyson Conte, who actually is looking for sponsors, executives to help him produce his own content so he can own his own content and sell to BBC. As it is, BBC sponsors those projects for most of these guys. And then, of course, BBC pays them something from, the amount of views and, watch that they have. But I saw this documentary on African girls, that are being taken advantage of. We know this is everywhere, all over the world. Even in America, it happens, but there are tough laws, right? And these laws are really enforced. So we know bad guys go to jail every day. In Africa, though, when you listen to some of the story of these girls that I'm about to share with you, you would see that a lot of times, maybe the cases are similar here too in the U.S. because or European countries, because a lot of the girls sometimes just because they feel like they're off age, or they're 16 or they're 17, they feel like their mothers, their fathers, or their parents or guardians cannot tell them anything anymore, right? So they want to step out and go and live their own life, have their own apartment, so they can live the life that they want. So stuff happens. And of course, along the way, they get all kinds of terrible experiences because you're going to have guys that are going to come around to take advantage of them. But in Africa, it's a very sad state of affairs because, like with Africa, when you look at these girls that are, going through these pains and suffering, it is because the systems, the infrastructure that should actually protect them is broken. The systems are broken. So I'm going to share this with you. I want you guys to see this video, and we'll take it from there because, it's very sad. It's very sad. It's very pathetic. But let's watch this together so you can listen to some of the stories of these girls. All right. Okay, let's watch this together.
While so much abuse is hidden in the shadows, I've heard of a woman who is making a real difference.
Hi!
Asante sana.
How are you?
I'm good.
Oh. Welcome, beautiful. You look...
Warmly known as Baby Girl, she's been a sex worker herself for 40 years and provides refuge for children who have escaped abuse.
Reke ngwire Jerry witũ mangai agĩũka tu niĩ ngĩthiĩ ngĩoyaga irĩtu rĩu na ningĩ rĩ ndĩna tũngĩ tũnini rĩu ndũrĩti nĩ njĩtĩirwo rĩu Naivasha andũ othe rĩu nĩ mamenyire. So that's how I become a mother, more than a mother, that is.
And now, she's
home,
going to meet some of the
I
girls.
meet 4 girls, now of age.
So basically, this lady has a refuge, where girls that are traumatized, girls that are found that are in the streets, basically. These girls, some of them have been in the streets since they were like 12, 13, being punished, right? And this lady would take them and provide a safe haven for them. So that's what it is. But listen, I want you to listen to some of the stories of these girls, and you can see exactly where I'm going with this. You see, that is why I have this platform, Saving Africa, because we have to educate and sensitize ourselves as Africans. If we don't pass on this information to ourselves, we would never really know exactly, how much pain and suffering, especially our girls are going through. And when you look at the rate of prostitution in Africa, because for greater percentage of the population of women in Africa, prostitution is the only way out. And it becomes very terrible when kids get caught up in that situation. So we're talking about, again, underage girls get caught up in situations like that because the system failed. It's one thing for the adults, because of lack of opportunities, put themselves out there to become prostitutes, because it's a common phenomenon in Africa. Go check government offices. You'll see these women going up and down, have no abode, just passing by government offices with their tight dresses and showing their buttocks and hanging bags and with no destination, just looking for the next man who's going to be able to give them something and sleep with them. It's a phenomenon in Africa. It's going to change one day because the people of Africa are rising up. But I want you guys to see this so you can have an idea, of what I'm talking about. So let's watch this video together. Again, listen to these stories, all right?
Who have been taken in by Baby Girl.
Imagine being able to build anything.
Sorry about these advertisements, but Let's get back to it.
Share their stories.
Dizonia nitoke kwetu, nikasikia babangu akiongea na wazee wengine ati miaka yangu imefika ya nikuwe circumcised. Ilikuwa 14 years hapo. Vile nilifika kwa barabara, nikapatanga lori yenye ilikuwa inakuja sasa na huku of which sikukwambia ni wapi. Wamenikubalisha niingie. Sasa ndo anza sasa safari. Wakaniambia tuwezi kupea lift na yani na wewe si nini yetu, yani wewe si mwanaume mwenzetu, yani hivyo bure.
Each girl's home life was a driving force.
Oh God, I'm sorry. My mic was muted there, but we don't have those infrastructure in place in Africa. You see, because again, in the U.S., let's assume that if that was a practice that was canceled, this girl can run away and go find somebody to talk to, right? And because nobody would take advantage of her at age 12, because they know the consequences of their actions, right? Because no matter how long it takes, the statute of limitation does not expire on cases like those. So, but in Africa, the institutions are not there. These kids run into troubles, with the family. They have no other place to go to. There's no social safety nets for these kids, right? So let's watch this together. Watch this.
Michelle lost both her parents to HIV, and she was evicted onto the streets.
Because her dad. Na I was waliniita kama mtoto ameleta cases in the family since mamangu ndo aliniletea babangu gonjwa akakufa. So I was that forbidden child. So I went kwa streets za Eldoret, nikakaa huko.
Ukiwa na miaka ngapi?
Class 6, 12. So nika meet a certain man kwa streets. Akanichukua, hanijui, kwa ananitumia vibaya. Juu literally tuseme nilikuwa namlipa juu ananisomesha. Na get. Hata nikifika mwisho, unafika mwisho uende wapi? I've got no one.
Babangu alikuwa anatujengea. Mamangu
Lillian was
So before we come to her story, so the story of this other girl, basically, what she was saying was, at age 12, she left the house. Why? Because she lost both of her parents. Poor child. What does she have to do with the fact that her mother was HIV positive and she infected the father and they both died? Now, poor child was left alone. The difference with the United States or European countries, in the Western world, this is why, I'm here with platforms like these to bring these level of, civic education, sensitization to our population, to our brothers and sisters out there in Africa that have never had, or sisters that have never had the opportunity to travel. The difference in situations like these, in Africa, if we had the infrastructure, right, these corrupt politicians, if they had built the systems in place, for example, a child who is an orphan and does not have nowhere to go, in the US or in the European countries, the government is going to take them. They have foster homes that they can, care for them. The government will provide something for them, to those families that will take them, provide, some form of EBT, food stamps, and stuff like that, right? For these kids to be able to have, a fair life, until they become of age, of course. So in a case, 12 years old, that is the situation. 12 years old, both parents died. to HIV/AIDS. She has nowhere to go. She went somewhere, this man took her in at 12 and started exploiting her, abused her, used her up. You see, that was our case. And this is happening in Africa because corruption, politicians have decided to take over, and not give the people what they deserve. Right? People don't have access to resources to help them. Kids don't have access to resources. No politician's child would suffer like this, right? A 12-year-old, because both parents died, would be out in the streets. No, none of these politicians would ever face this. Their kids would never face a situation like that. And that is why you have people like myself, and we're calling our African brothers and sisters to wake up and understand that until you stop supporting these politicians blindly and think about these kids, think about these girls, that are actually suffering and going through situations like these, Africa is not going to go anywhere. So we have to recognize these problems that we have. And until we come together and build the infrastructure, build the systems that's going to work for everybody, because there's going to be crimes. There's going to be people always that are dangerous to society. But if you have systems in place, politicians don't only think about themselves, they think about society, think about children that will be affected, by their crazy and stupid, corrupt actions. We would not have the situations we have. Let's listen to this other story of this girl.
Member took her in.
So tukibaki na nko yangu ikaanza, nikienda kuoga, kumbe ameweka simu yake kwa bafu. Nikienda kuoga anani record, anatumia rafiki zake picha zangu, anaripwa. Ikaenda hivyo, akakuwa na rara na mimi. That was my worst day.
How old were you?
I was 12 by then.
She tried to run from abuse, but was raped by a truck driver.
You see how terrible it is, guys? Again, 12-year-old, this girl. Her uncle took her in. The uncle started taking pictures of her when she was 12 years old. He was selling the pictures to his friends. You see the system, how the system is broken? These are pedophiles. Imagine an uncle, a grown adult man, taking pictures of a 12-year-old girl and selling it to friends. And those friends could not sum up the courage to call the police so that they can save this young 12-year-old child. That's the difference with Africa in European countries or in the United States of America. This is why civic education is key. This is why the people have to be educated. This is why people like myself, we are here, saving Africa uncensored. We're not holding anything back. We're coming at you. We're hitting you guys with the facts. A 12-year-old child should not suffer what these girls are suffering or what they suffered. And there's going to be more because nothing has changed. These politicians in Africa don't care. They don't care about these girls. They don't care about these kids because their children are not going to be faced with situations like these because all of them, their children, their kids are protected. If they're not in the country, if they're in the country, they're attending private schools, they have security guards, they're protected. They would never find themselves in this situation, right? If they send them overseas, they come to school. But look at this girl, 12 years old. Our uncle was actually taking photos of her when she was taking a shower, and he would sell the photos. Nobody stopped him. His friends were buying the photos from him. Bunch of pedophiles. This is in Kenya, and I'm sure it's in every other African country, not just Kenya. We have loose people all over the place because politicians have failed to put infrastructure in place to protect these kids and these young children. This is what is happening. All of this, it ties back to our politics. Because until we have politicians or leaders, that are serious about the people, that care about the people, we're not going anywhere. And that's how you compare, you contrast these situations in America. Can you imagine a friend of mine takes a picture of a 12-year-old child and sends it to me? Matter of fact, selling it to me? Boy, people get shot in the head for stuff like that. That is the worst form of pedophilia, right? So these are the things we're saying, but the people don't have a recourse. Like this girl. Now, the uncle who was actually taking photos, was he prosecuted? We don't even know. I saw a story by Dark Man, very dark man, the other day, the Nigerian guy. You'll know who I'm talking about. He had a video where a mother and a daughter, 12-year-old child as well in Nigeria, they came to him to report the fact that the daycare or school where the child attends, one of the security guards was actually having, with the 12-year-old girl. I think he did it about 3 or 4 times before the girl finally, had the courage to tell her parents. So it is a phenomenon. Why? Because the systems are not there to stop this nonsense. People like those are still roaming around free. The guy's not been prosecuted. So Very Dark Man is now trying to get the guy to be prosecuted. And even if he goes to jail, what's the guarantee that he's going to spend the rest of his life there? Because we know how Africa is. The systems are corrupt. And this is why activities like these, continue to happen in that country. So let's continue to listen to their stories. 12-year-old kids. How can a grown man sell the photo of a 12-year-old child taking a shower? And then he started raping her. His own niece. This is his own niece. The system has allowed it to happen. But when you tell your people to vote for people that are serious politicians that are going to change their lives and make sure that they implement policies and change the system so that so our brothers and sisters can stop running away to Europe. Listen to the story again. Listen to the other story.
Who brought her to my mahio.
Have you ever thought about starting your own recruiting business?
This is terrible, guys. Let's listen to this one.
Jesh left alcoholic parents, ending up in my mahio at just 14 years of age.
Siku ya kwanza nililala kwa kibanda, lakini ni kama nikiingia kuna mwenye aliniona nikiingia. Akanifuata. Wakati sasa alikuja akatutokea. Ule tu mwanaume mimi alinishika. Wakati alinishika, chenye alinifanyia sikuwahi pitia kitu kaa hiyo. Singeweza hadi kutembea, ni miguu chungu, kuchini chungu.
I didn't know what to expect.
So guys, you see, this is why we bring stories like these to you all, to our brothers and sisters in Africa. And when we tell you, we guide you, we show you the pathway to say, hey, these politicians that you guys keep putting in power, these political parties, because in most African countries, we only have like 2 political parties rotating power, right? Constantly. If they go for 2 terms, then the other one comes. And so it's a vicious cycle, right? The same politicians, same political parties, nothing is changing in the lives of the people. But the reason why we bring stuff like this to you is for you to know that this girl, as an example, the last one that explained that story, she was 14 years old. She had alcoholic parents. We want every child to be equipped. If I'm at home and my kids, for some reason, find that I'm alcoholic, I would appreciate it if they would just, try to leave the house and go seek help outside, because the systems are there. All it takes is for a child to tell a school teacher that my dad is alcoholic. That is going to alone just start a conversation, an investigation, right? Because now this teacher is going to pass this on to the administrator of the school, and the administrator of the school has the responsibility to filter this to the police department or the child protective services, because it's the child protective services that have the responsibility to protect the kids. In Africa, I know we have semblance of these, but are they effective? That is the fundamental question. I'm sure in Kenya, they have those. Are they effective? Can they be bribed? Because we know some people commit crimes, they have enough money to give these guys, and that's the end of it. In America, and overseas, in Europe, there's no way you can bribe a child protective services officer that comes to investigate an allegation made by a child, right? So that is what happened to this girl. At 14, she left because her parents were alcoholic. If it was in America, she'll report this to an elder, somebody who's going to bring help to her, so that the matter can be investigated and, she can be given the protective custody that she deserves until the issue is resolved. This is why people like myself are here advocating for a better Africa. Because not just for Sierra Leone, but I want to see every African child, or every child, period, across the world, be protected from pedophiles, from terrible people that are taking advantage of kids. And that is why I continue to bring these stories like these to you to talk about it, because it's an African problem. And if we don't speak up, if people like myself don't come in and create this level of sensitization and awareness so that everybody's aware and people know, it's not going to stop. Just by doing this live, maybe somebody who's a pedophile, who's been doing this act alone can listen to this and say, you know what, I'm going to change my ways. Or maybe this will strengthen governments to implement processes, infrastructure, institutions in place, child protective services. Maybe the Kenyan government, Sierra Leonean government, Guinean government, Malian government. These leaders would say, you know what, it's time to protect our girls. Because again, today is these people, tomorrow it could be your family member as well. Because no matter how long you can protect your kids, but one way or the other, it's going to affect your family line down the road. And this is why we continue to tell people to understand that we have to come together and fix Africa so it works for everybody, not just a few. I hope everybody understands this. And this is why I'm here. My platform is here, the Ibrahim Talk Show. We bring these stories out to you so that you guys can learn from this and understand. When it's time for you to vote, vote for the right leaders. Vote for people that are serious. Stop voting for these same political parties. It is you, the people, that continue to suffer. It is your children that continue to suffer like this. But what's the essence of having elections if you're voting for the same political parties for generations? Nothing has changed. No electricity, no clean drinking water, no proper sanitation. This is a common phenomenon across most African countries. But yet our girls, little babies, are the ones that are paying the price. Lamin Denke, how are you, my brother? So this is the problem we have. And that is why I share stories like this. So let's continue to watch this. Watch this.
But not this. It's overwhelming. Each of these young girls fled trauma, only to find even greater danger on the streets of my Mahio.
There was this girl akakuja akaniambia, wewe ni mrembo sana kukaa kwa streets hivyo unashinda ukizunguka huku jadi nashindanga nikikuona huko.
At first alinichukua akaniweka kwake, mama hata si msichana. But ilifika point akaniambia sasa wewe si mtoto tena, na nilikuwa nakaa na wewe juu nilikuwa naona you are still mdogo, but now you can do it for yourself.
Juu sijaifanya kitu kaa hiyo. Sasa mbona nilichagua hii maisha? Safadhali tu ningekaanga kwetu kwenye nilikuwa, hata kama ningesakamsaiziwa, at least ningekuwa
before I even, this girl, she's blaming herself, but no, she doesn't have to blame herself because of what she's endured out there, right? The system failed her. But you listen to that other girl, and the problem is, if I take you guys back to this, it is actually women. Women are the ones that are actually selling these girls. I want you to listen to this. Listen to this woman as she talks about how she sells these girls. So you can see exactly how it is. It is the same women. Women. So the women is just as corrupt as the men. I want you to see this. Listen to her.
We've called Anna has gradually gained the tenuous trust of a woman called Nyambura, who we've heard is involved in selling underage girls.
I built a strong rapport with her, and she eventually opened up about the young girls operating under her.
Prostitution it's a cash crop, which are make you to benefit. It's a cash crop, so you don't want to. I don't think I might not know the number. Partly my name to get to corner stress. I don't care if the carrier. I don't care if you know who might be much for. How long they really
You see? So whilst this lady is doing an undercover investigation, This is what is happening. It is women that are actually the madams. Just like we have what is happening. It used to be a thing, and I'm sure it's still a thing in Lebanon and these places where they take African girls, through these madams, right? And they go to Lebanon, Oman, these places, and promising them that they're gonna be, working, at these establishments, and all of a sudden these girls go there, and now they're sex slaves because the madams want their money back for sponsoring them to travel. Excuse me. So it's been a phenomenon. It's a thing that is happening, So, but women are just as dangerous as the men themselves that are involved in these kinds of activities. It is terrible. It is terrible. And it's across Africa. And the systems are not there to protect these girls. And that is the sad part. And you put this with bad politics. Because again, we always say a lot of people, like, they don't care about politics. And a lot of Africans don't just want a better life. Most people across the world, believe it or not, don't really care so much about the politics if everything is working right for them. That is why it surprises me when in Africa, the people, instead of at this point when Africans should pay attention to their politics and get involved, a lot of people are like, I don't care. Because it's not affecting them. They can do whatever they want to do. I don't care about politics. That is the mentality of Africans, and that is why Africa is the way it is. So it's only voices like myself, voices like Mr. Lamin Denke, who's watching on this live, and others that are watching this live right now, that are pushing these messages out there, to people so that the world knows exactly what the problem is. Because I'm not talking about this prostitution just because I want to talk about it, but I'm telling you it's because the systems are broken across Africa. People are not held accountable for their actions. Yes, Kenya will tell you they have strong laws, but are these laws effective? These girls are suffering. They're out there in the streets. So there's a lot of breakdown in the system. Like I said again, if a girl feels threatened at home, you should be able to go to school and tell their teacher. Their teacher should be able to report to Child Protective Services. Child Protective Services, as a state agency, should be able to open up an investigation through the police department, right? And they themselves should be investigators. They should be able to come to these homes and ask these questions to protect these kids. If you say, female genital mutilation is no longer a thing, then if a girl comes to school and says, I heard my parents talking about, getting me, mutilated or circumcised, as she would call it, female genital mutilation. If a child hears her parents talking about that and go to the school and say, hey, this is what I heard from my parents, the school has a responsibility. That teacher has a responsibility to protect that child and report incidences like those. That is how you can protect these girls from stepping out of the homes to go into the streets only to be abused by pedophiles, grown men and grown women that are supposed to protect them. You see what I'm saying? So again, why don't we have all that in place? It's because we elect useless leaders that don't care about the people. And when you are serious and you come to the people of Africa and you present a case to them, let them know you're serious about this. This is not about your tribe. This is not about your religion. This is not about your region. This is not about you being my brother. We want to build this country. And that is why people like myself are here. Sierra Leone, one day, I might contest the presidency in that country to see how we can transform and change the lives of our people to implement everything that we talk about, because we've lived this life. That's the beauty of coming overseas, right? You learn from your overseas experience. You take that back home to your people. But unfortunately, that is not the case. A lot of our brothers come to the diaspora. They're the ones that are in power today in African countries when you look around and see what's happening. These are the people that are in power. But unfortunately, they don't even care. They've learned, they've seen what it's like over here and overseas, but they never take it back home to implement and improve the lives of the people. And that is why you have these young kids, being taken advantage of by pedophiles out there in the streets. Look at their cases, all of their stories. If you go back, and by the way, I promised that I was going to show you guys the platform. It's this right here. I want you guys to see it. This is what it looks like, okay? So this is Kenya's child sex trade. It's on BBC Africa. All right, you have to let's see here.
Work in IT. How does cutting 40%
BBC,
of your work
right here? All right, BBC News Africa. This is the platform that you can find this video if you want to watch it in full. All right, and of course, they do a lot of these kinds of documentaries. I know we have, again, like I said, from Sierra Leone, we have a brother, Tyson, Conte, who has done some very powerful, documentaries. If you remember this documentary from Tyson Conte, our brother,
admits his crime.
But
this is not the case with the other convicted sex offenders I talked to.
It's not the charge the way you
to have sex with underage below 17 to 18 years.
The interview me for sexual penetration for children that I'm taking care of.
Not only doing, I will give you 25 years of imprisonment.
So you are guilty of the offense?
I never done it. My conscience, my heart, my spirit, everything about me.
Yeah.
Even
so this was a documentary done by Tyson Conte.
Out of control.
You can watch
According
this
to police statistics, reported cases of nearly doubled last year to over 8,500.
Talking about
things got so bad that in 2019, the government was forced to act.
All right.
And therefore declare
so this is the thing across Africa. We know, thank God for organizations that come to Africa to help these governments. Sometimes they provide funding, and then you see some action, some traction on protecting girls and stuff like that. But otherwise, there's a lot of work that needs to be done to protect these girls. All right. So guys, I want to touch base with you. It's been a while, but I wanted to share this documentary with you so you guys could see it. Like I said again, go watch the whole thing, and you will be glad you did. All right. But it's BBC, News Africa. It just came out, and you'll be glad you did and you watched this. All right, guys. Bye-bye, everybody. Take care of yourself. Lamin, thank you. Thank you so much, brah. Yeah, civic education is key. Again, make sure you follow and like the platform Saving Africa Uncensored. My name is Ibrahim. And until next time, I have moments and times to come back. I'll talk to you and bring you more content like this so we can create that awareness and that civic education across Africa. Africa is going to rise. The people of Africa deserve so much better, okay? All right. Thank you, everybody. All right. Bye-bye. Lamin, take care, man. All right. Bye-bye.